what's up? Today you're coming to my channel. I don't know if you would think you're coming to anywhere else, but it's my channel. My name is Allison King, and today we're going for a very different kind of fail because I am going to put together two worlds. The world of the fangirl of the media and the fangirl of the books, which sometimes come together because of a book to TV show adaptation or a book to movie adaptation, but this time they're going to come together in a topic we all love, and that is ships. And before you yell at me for cussing, realize it's not cussing. It's like SHIP, like I ship it. I should have worn my I ship it shirt, but this is really comfortable. So this is kind of like Christine's Wall of Crap, but I could not be motivated to clean all this stuff with musical practice and everything, so this is what you get. I'm going to talk a little more closer with you guys. I haven't made a video in a long time. Part of it's because of how busy I am, because I have a role in the musical. We're doing Fiddle on the Roof. Then I have schoolwork and I have all kinds of stuff, but I'm trying to be able to put a video out there for you guys because I feel like I'm neglecting this part, and I really don't want to because I love BookTube and I love the outlets it's given me and the friends I've made because of it, so I want to be able to put a video out there for you guys to like. So I kind of took this idea from Evan on Evan Edinger. I've loved his videos for so long, but I wanted to talk a little more unfiltered with you guys and kind of just, not without a plan, just talk about a topic that I really enjoy. I think shipping is a really cool thing because too often nowadays people are so obsessed with what they think, what they want, who they care about, and shipping and all that jazz forces you to imagine other people complexly, forces you to think about other people and think about really relationships. And if you think about, like, it can even be familiar? Yeah, I just hit myself in the face. Familial, like a father and a daughter. I have my laptop case has Emma and Charming from Once Upon a Time because I'm an obsessed nerd. So, and I don't think people should be made fun of for being a fan of something. Like, it's the same as books, it's the same as movies, it's the same as, I mean, I'm not a video game fan or an anime or that kind of thing because that's not my thing, but I'm not gonna make fun of someone for being obsessed with that. And I think it gives you an outlet outside of your problems, your ideas, your thoughts, and like, if I hadn't read, I wouldn't be able to imagine a character. So, like Finnick. Finnick is, I've never used this word before, but Finnick is my bae, and so I didn't fall in love with what he looks like because in my head it was a picture of him, but I fell in love with his soul because when I'm reading about how he says things, how he looks at the world, how he speaks, how he thinks. And it's just amazing to be able to think about it that way and think about, okay, we know every aspect of this TV show character's life, like, and we know every aspect of this other TV show character's life, and in books too, like Tristan and 4. And I really like shipping. I think it can go a little bit too far, but I like how it brings people together, people become best friends, people have gotten married, it inspires a lot of cool work. Like, I have seen amazing Sherlock watercolors. I'm thinking of that John Green song now and it needs to go away. I've seen amazing fan fiction because, like, fan fiction that could easily be published in a book. I've seen books that have special editions with art and stories written by characters, or even like The Selection. People love those books so much and they fought so much for them, which I'm one of them, that those books continued on. So I'm going to be talking this rest of this video about some of my favorite ships, both YouTube, real people can get out of control, books, TV shows, movies, and I definitely won't get all of my ships in one video, but I'm going to try and do some main ones and whatever one comes to my head. But I'd like to continue this conversation on all the social medias because I really want to know both your guys' opinion on fangirl stuff, because you could easily become obsessed and go too far, and there's a fine line between a fangirl and an obsessive person, but I kind of think that fangirls are looked on badly when they really shouldn't be. And I made a video like this talking about why I think a lot of these things, but it was too scary to upload, so I'm just gonna kind of put it out there for you guys to talk about. If you want me to post that, then I will. So let's get on with the ships. My ultimate all-time OTP of all time favorite is Finnick and Annie O'Dare. Okay, that might have been a spoiler for Mockingjay, but if you haven't read Mockingjay, where the heck have you been from like 2011 on? I don't know what you're doing with your life, or if you haven't heard of them, they're minor characters, so they're really hard, but actually, it's not just because I love Finnick. I'm just inspired by Annie in so many ways, and I'm inspired by their story and their love, their ultimate things. You can hear more about why I love Annie so much in my Mockingjay, I think, Part 2 trailer talk, which, if I don't link it down below, it should be in my list of videos if you open that up. And I really enjoy her strength, and I think she's one of the strongest characters I've ever read from. Actually, even without Finnick, I would still pick her as if I could be any character, I would be her. I'm trying to not keep saying the things that I've always said. I love what they stand for, how they think, and sometimes books and things, they're afraid to make people hate or have anger. And yeah, those are not emotions that we want, but sometimes they're warranted, sometimes they're there, and you can't act like you're a horrible person because you're angry. Like, they hate Snow. Snow sold you your whole life into doing these terrible things, and you've had to kill people to live. And like Finnick, his love of his life would die. And the woman who was like his mother, even Snow killed his family. Like, would you not hate that person? I'm not saying hatred is the best way, but it shows real people. Like, they felt so real, they felt livable, they felt like these amazing people that I would aspire to be. Like, Annie, as crazy as she is amazing. Then everything else just kind of goes into whatever space it is. The next couple I can think of is Frances and Mary from Reign. And season 1 Reign, I was on it. I saw every episode. I'd watch it like the night it came out. I had theories, I had all this stuff, and then it was like slowly as like the whole Condi thing started to come in and it got a little racier. Then I stopped watching for a while. Then I got back into season 2. And I just never watched season 3. Spoilers for season 3 if you have not seen it. I will put my hand down if you haven't. If you have. And I will finish the spoiler. What did that sentence even mean? So, Frances dies. And ultimately I was at the point where Mary is not a likable character anymore. I really love her, and I understand some of her struggles, but her and Condi and all that mess has just gotten old. And it's just too heartbreaking from all the edits that I've seen for me to be able to continue watching with Frances gone. I may contradict myself and continue watching, but I most likely won't. Okay, so yeah, I really enjoy Frances and Mary. I enjoy their kind of that old childhood best friends. They were betrothed and then they kind of tore apart, and they both were angry and kind of hateful when Frances became kind of annoying, and then they fell in love with each other, and you can tell that even though they're king and queen and they're duty bound, they love each other so much. And I think it's interesting to look at where, yes, the love of your life is first to you, but it's almost like duty and honor and all these things. Like, he runs a whole country. Ultimately, he loves his wife, but his country is going to come before his wife. And if you run a country, that's what people want. I mean, for your marriage it might be sad or whatever. And I could understand where they both were coming from in every argument they had. And it was another thing that felt real. It was like in the Hunger Games and Frances and Mary and all that, they're all characters who are in these insane situations, and yet they feel so normal and so like I could understand them, I could talk to them, I could be in their shoes, which is drastic and crazy. Like, I've never gone out and had to go and kill 23 other people just so I could live, but yet I can empathize and understand someone who did exactly that. Reign is a pretty good show. If you haven't seen it, I would totally go watch it. Let me think of another couple that I have. I'm trying to think of people I don't talk about as much. Of course, Tris and Fleur, that's self-explanatory. Oh, Kimmy and Zach from Gallagher Girls. This has been like since the 2nd grade. I think they're one of the first couples I was ever like, yes. I'm going with couples right now. I could do like families and friendships, but couples. And those two, just yes. At first I was like really insecure about Zach because I read the Josh story, and I was like, but I love Josh and Kimmy, and it was just almost like she threw Josh to the sideline and just went with Zach. But Zach he grew on me so much, and the whole Gallagher Girl thing, and how funny he is, and how witty he is. Like, at first we didn't quite trust him, and then his mom was in the circle, but then it was like, oh my gosh. And then, spoilers for the last book of the Gallagher Girls series. If you have not read them, you should definitely read them. I'm going to put my hand up, so if you haven't read them, you won't watch this. When we find out Zach's father is Townsend, I believe that's his name. I haven't reread those books in a long time. It was perfect. I could see him and Kimmy getting married so easily. They love each other, even though they've been through so much and so much craziness and just things they shouldn't have had to go through. So, Zach and Kimmy. Then I'm going to talk about another couple that is underrated, which is Maxon and America. I was in the minority because when I first read the Selection series, well, the Selection at least, I was Team Aspen all the way, because I was like, there's going to be something up with this Maxon guy, he's too good to be true. And I'm kind of one of those people that, even though I try not to, I find myself sticking with the first love interest that I meet. Like in the Hunger Games, I originally just liked Gale. I was just like, Peeta is still kind of a boring character to me, but I really liked Gale. And it was like, I don't understand how people are like that. And then I reread the books, and then I got to Mockingjay, and I was like, okay, I can understand kind of where people are getting this from. And so Peeta's a good choice for Katniss, but Gale is the best choice for me as a person. Like, I don't find Peeta as interesting as Gale, but I can understand how she couldn't live without him. That's kind of how I felt with Aspen. When I reread the series, though, and I started seeing the relationship between Lucy and Aspen, I really enjoyed them together and their dynamic. And then they were completely heartbreaking in the air when she was crying in his arms, and she was talking about how they could never have children, and just how, so as I reread them, I saw those cute moments with Maxon in America, like, how she's gonna be like a grandmother, and they'll be like, well, how does your first kiss go? And America will be like, Maxon tried to kiss me and I need him in the groin. Like, because, and she says, I'm not your dear, and like their chance meeting in the castle, it was just all hilarious, and I don't think anyone else could have been that insane, but America's believable too. I mean, she's a little annoying, but I love her. And Maxon is just cute, and how he can't deal with dying girls? I don't want to deal with dying girls. Crying girls. It was just adorable. This is kind of not canon. It's only a few lines based off of this, but I love Clove and Cato. Clove, I actually wanted her to win in the first book. I thought she was such an interesting character. I loved her storyline, her dynamic, the way she spoke. Actually, if you go earlier on my channel, there should be a video of where I reenacted the scene where Clove is holding Katniss at knife point, and it was kind of crazy for the booktubeathon, and it was all kinds of fun, and I really, not that I understand her, but it's really a lot of philosophical things, a lot of interesting things go on with her, and I feel for Clove. Like, that was one of the hardest things to do, to pick up Catching Fire and realize that that character is not there, even though you're supposed to hate her and be terrified of her, and that just made me all the more interested. Like, she's so psychotic, and it's so cool. It's really hard to explain, but I loved Clove. She's probably one of my favorite characters in the Hunger Games, and I would have loved reading the story from her point of view, but her and Cato, I've looked at so many stuff, and I've loved them so much, because Cato I was never that big of a fan of Cato, but you could tell that they had something there. And when he says, like, she calls for him as she's dying, and he says basically, Katniss, you've already beaten me, you've already won, and before he dies, so like, even if she shoots him, like, he won't be the winner even if he wins, because everything that he loved and everything that he wanted was dead. And you just in the book reading about him crying over her body and just their reactions with each other, I think it showed that we're viewing these careers as people who are just vicious and they're horrible, but we're not looking at their children. But they've been taught their whole lives, this is the way to go, this is what you have to do, this is what you gotta do, this is all that there is. Their self-worth, their honor is in these games. And they're taught from little how to throw knives, how to do all this, and they could not be anything but vicious. If a tribute from 2 got up crying, like, they cannot plead the whole wimpy but good and all that. Like, they would be embarrassed. They would be, and they couldn't be star-crossed lovers because of Katniss and Peeta. You can't have 2 star-crossed lovers. So even if Cato and Cole were in love, they're in this predicament. And it's so different from what Katniss and Prim are taught. Like, Katniss almost wants to be gentle like Prim, but Clove just wishes she was just eternally vicious and evil. And she tries her best, and she kind of gets enjoyment out of it because she thinks this is what's going to bring her honor. But you see in that moment where she calls to him and that she cares, that she loves, that she really is a person, and that she has pain and she has feeling and all this, and it takes away that shudder of these are bad people and these are good people. It shows that there is an in-between, there is a gray area. And as long as there's bad people, there's going to be a gray area. And they don't necessarily deserve what they get, but they have to because of what's going on. And it's evil and it's horrible, but she's a kid. And in that moment, she's dying. And you just feel it, and it hits you. And you're reading it like, why? How could I have ever rooted? How could I have ever, like, because in the book, you're almost like the Capitol, because when you're reading, you're rooting for your favorites and crying when they die. And you just see how corrupt even the way you think through the story is. And see the cracked, there's this rock. She wants to be perceived as this vicious person, and you see the cracks of, you're still a kid. And I just went really deep, but that was okay. So I guess if you want to know more about who I ship, those are just a few people. I have tons of Once Upon a Time. I may make more videos and stuff, but I thought this was a pretty good video to talk about it. So I will see you then. Goodbye!